let me ask you guys a question. Are you into having emergency stores for rainy days? Are you against government overreach? Do you like the Second Amendment? Do you have an affinity for camouflage fashion? Or maybe Hawaiian shirts? Do you like to be ready to bug out? Maybe bug in? Then you too could be a violent extremist. I literally named off everything this channel is about in my life. I'm sure I'm on a government watch list somewhere. Alright, welcome back to the channel, everyone. In today's video, we are kind of doing a little roundup of things that have been happening in the news that you might have missed. Now, I know it's been a little while, but since we've been back from Tennessee, there has been a norovirus ripping through the house between the dogs, me, the missus, of course my son. Hasn't been a pleasant time. So, finally feeling better, so I'm getting around to doing this. Alright, what are we going to be talking about today? Got my list of notes. Here we go. The FBI has put out new information on what they view as a militia violent extremist. We're going to cover that. If you haven't seen the news from ABC the other day, even though crime is down according to our governor, some pretty weird stuff's going on in Danbury. And of course, yesterday, I saw this about a marketplace robbery. We're going to discuss that. But before I get too deep into anything, I want to tell you about the merch store. Down in the description below is awesome merch like this. It is one of the easiest ways to support the channel. You can also use Patreon, locals, at the very least, subscribe to the channel, toggle the little notification bell, like, share, and leave a comment. It helps with the algorithm, helps the channel grow, gets us out there a little more, and it costs you nothing. But if you want to send a little cheddar my way, buy me a cup of coffee, or help provide other things for this channel, hit up the merch store. That is the best way. All right. So last Thursday, the ATF and SLFU, and we're not going to discuss how I feel about that, had a meeting of the minds, if it were. It was basically a seminar for the FFLs in the area to kind of get the gist of what's going on, changes, going over 4473, the proper way to fill them out, and a ton of other information. I did not go to the meeting because I am not an FFL, nor do I want to be an FFL in Connecticut. Maybe once I'm out of state, that's a different story, but as of right now, I am not. So we don't sell anything except sweet merch. So that being said, if you are interested in updates with assault weapon certificates, what's going on with the DPS 67 possibly going away, or other news of that nature, then I would recommend that you go look at the Lock and Load podcast. He has a new video out today. It premiered, and it covers everything there because Josh was at this meeting. So after this video, go look up the Lock and Load podcast. I already watched it. Some really good information. And I'm not going to just pass it on to you. Go. Watch it. Give them a few views. Hit a like. Subscribe to that channel too. Okay. First and foremost, the FBI. And I'm sure you've already seen this. It's probably, if you watch other informative 2A channels, like Guns and Gadgets, things of that nature. A few other channels have already covered this, and I'm bringing it to you just in case you haven't, because amazingly enough, not a lot of people, I should say not everybody, watches the same channels that I and other people watch. I blew my mind that people literally did not know about the assault weapon registry that happened earlier in the year, even though I did videos on it. CCDL talked about it. State police obviously put information out on it, but there's still people that are like, can I register my lower that I bought? No, that's over and done with, and it's bad. But there's go watch the podcast from Lock and Load. They cover that and everything that's going on. But the FBI came out with their new guidelines on what they view as a violent extremist or a militia violent extremist. All right. And I just wanted to cover a few of these. I've got notes, so I'll be referring to those. So don't beat me up for not looking at the camera all the time. All right. So this is out of the Domestic Terrorism Reference Guide. All right. And I will, it is not available to the public yet. They have not come out with it. It was leaked, and if I can find the link for the Twitter feed that it was originally on, I will put it down below, or I'll pin it in the comments, something like that. All right? But things that they've covered. These, in the eyes of the FBI, make you a violent extremist. All right? The Second Amendment, 2A. It says, refers to the Second Amendment to the Constitution of the United States, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. MVEs, the militia violent extremists, and others within the militia movement often reference and interpret the Second Amendment to justify private militias' activities and opposition to gun laws. Because that's what you're supposed to do. I mean, it's black and white. The right of the people to bear arms shall not be infringed. You can't get any plainer text than that. And I don't believe in gun laws. I think any gun law is an infringement on my rights. I mean, people would absolutely lose their mind if they treated the First Amendment, the Third Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, Fifth, and on like they treat the Second. Right? Imagine if you got pulled over and you only got the Fifth Amendment or the Fourth Amendment if you had a special permit from the state government saying that you're okay to have that right. You're asking permission to use right. Drives me nuts. All right, the other thing, Agenda 21. All right, a non-binding United Nations agreement. They advocated for international environmental responsibility. Agenda 21 is a power grab. Anybody that reads up on it, pays attention to the political sphere, you know it's bad. All right? Boogaloo. All right? Or if you're part of the Mujahideen, I like that one. If you reference the Boogaloo, you talk about the Second American Civil War, which we know July 13th, we're about that close to another civil war. November, God only knows what's going to happen. All right, it's described sometimes for the desire for a second civil war. No, nobody wants a civil war. Nobody wants war. That's horrible. Anybody that says, "Oh yeah, we need," they don't know what war is like. I'm letting you know. Nobody wants that. It is horrible. All right, but when they bash the government, all right. When Big Igloo, Big Luau, the Boog Boys, Mujahideen, and other associated wordplay in addition to imagineering, blah, 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 joking about it, advocating, it goes on and on and on, right? You're considered an extremist, okay? And they include like Hawaiian shirts, tactical equipment, tactical gear, things like that. Bug out or bug in, but they mainly say bug out. Okay, bug out is a phrase used by MVEs and non-extremist preppers for reference emergency contingency plans using and involving weapons, supplies, evacuation procedures, and rendezvous locations. Yeah, if you're not doing that, there's something seriously wrong with you. Evacuation, rendezvous, prepping. Listen, when I was in Tennessee, half the damn state got washed away. I mean, look at Tom's Firearms. half the damn building fell into the river. People were stranded. People needed to be rescued. People's homes were flooded, washed away. If you're not prepared to just grab a bag and walk out your door with essential supplies, you're doing yourself a huge injustice, because you never know when that may happen. You never know when a blizzard may hit, a big nor'easter, you lose power. You need firewood. At least you need a jet boil. You need some food to eat because, things happen. What the hell? How's that extremist? That, to me, literally, there's government websites that tell you to do this. To have a 72-hour kit. FEMA tells you to do that. Yeah, you're an extremist if you do it, or if you're interested in it. All right? False flags. It's a conspiracy theory alleging the government carries out plots, often violent action. Listen, FBI. We know the government has done false flags. All right? Gulf of Tonkin. We know today by declassified documents, totally made up. So I don't want to hear it. Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA camps. All right? Some MBEs believe under the guise of humanitarian projects, FEMA intends to gather Americans into concentration camps in conjunction with the suspension of civil liberties and the establishment of the New World Order. All right, we'll scrap the New World Order, but guess what? COVID. That was pretty damn bad. The government definitely pushed us to the brink of some things. All right? Other countries literally set up camps where the people volunteered to go, but if you left, they hunted you down and dragged you back. And the barbed wire on top of the fence really doesn't say volunteering to be there. But whatever. I like this one. FTXs, or field training exercises. It's the terms to describe tactical training. And it goes on to say other things. But basically, if you take a training course, be it pistol self-defense, basic carbine 2, stop the bleed, whatever, it can be construed as FTX. You're trying to become better with the tools that you have at your disposal, which makes sense. I'm a big proponent of training because you're not going to be John Wick. I always tell my classes, listen, you guys, when you finish this class, you are not John Wick. You are Cheddar Bob. Some people get it. Other people, it falls flat because, they've never seen 8 Mile or whatever. And I always explain that, listen, training is a double-edged sword, because the way it works is, if you get tons of training, and you should be training 3 to 4 times per year with different instructors, different training groups, honing your craft so you are proficient. That's all one can ask. All right? But it's a double-edged sword. So, something bad happens, and the courts can see, the prosecution can see that you have a history of taking all these training courses. They're going to use it against you. Like, oh, you've been preparing for this. You wanted it to happen. You've been itching for this. That's why you do all this training, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so on the flip side, say you don't get any training. Well, we all know if you suck, you suck. And the last thing you want to do is suck. But God forbid that moment arises when you need to defend yourself. But you're absolutely garbage at shooting. So you miss, you hit your target, but you miss a few times. Maybe accidentally you hit an innocent bystander. I don't know. But the courts are going to use that against you. You didn't get any training. You never took this seriously. It's because you don't care. So it's a double-edged sword. Either you get the training or you don't. Either way, you're going to get screwed. It's just the way it is. All right? They go on also, if you're a fan of Kild Dozer. Okay? It's a meme. We all know what happened with Kild Dozer in 2004. But the meme used to reference the 4th of June 2004 incident in which an individual used a bulldozer that he had armored to demolish multiple buildings in the town of Granby, Colorado, in response to grievances with the local government. Yeah. I know tons of people that are fans of that. I know people and they joke, and you'll see this meme online, When they were a kid, they watched the movie Falling Down, and they didn't understand Michael Douglas's problems. Now that they're older, they can totally relate. You know, that's just saying the quiet part out loud. So, of course, I'm going to jump all over this like white on rice. So, you go down to the merch store. I have it. I'll put a picture up of the shirt right here. It is the Haymeyer Welding Co. shirt. They are professional dozer welders. So, there you go. There's the shirt, and the entire site is 10% off using promo code Labor Day 24. Just type it right in there, 10% off your order. All right, 10% off all the merch. Stickers, mugs, the whole thing. Shirts, all of it. So go hit up the merch store. They also cover martial law, which when a military authorities take over, blah, 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 blah. Listen, if you don't think the government's going to crack down on martial law, then you forgot about the Cootie catastrophe of 2020 or the Summer of Love, things like that. Trust me, the government is looking. They're itching for some reason to crack down. All right? And if you're like, no, they're not, COVID. It was a dry run, guys. I'm telling you. All right? This video is probably going to get taken down or demonetized. Mol and Labe. All right? So come and get them. It's an ancient Greek expression translating roughly to come and take them. Right? If you've seen 300, you know. So this goes all the way back to the Spartans and Thermopylae when the Persians showed up and said, hey, just lay down your weapons. And the Spartans were pretty much like, come and get them. Listen, it is ingrained in society because nobody wants to give up their rights. So, but that doesn't make you an extremist. But according to the FBI, you're an extremist. New World Order, NWO. This term and other conspiracy theorists, it's not a conspiracy theory, guys. Literally, you've talked about it. The government has talked about it. They have said it in speeches that we will do XYZ for a New World Order. Bush said it. Don't pull that crap. Oath breakers. Well, listen, again, during COVID, you know, a lot of these people that are there to enforce the law took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And when push came to shove and these politicians gave draconian orders and made up rules out of the blue, there were a lot of cops that just enforced it because they didn't want to rock the boat. They don't want to lose their pension. Hey, they're like, listen, I don't care. I don't care. I got a family to feed. I'm going to do whatever they say, and I'm enforcing this. All right? A lot of the good cops left. They're like, we're not going to enforce this. So they dipped. You know, and if you enforce unconstitutional mandates that you took an oath to uphold, this includes politicians, everything, and you don't care, you legitly are breaking your oath. Ergo, oath breaker. The Patriot Movement. So if you're a patriot, if you love America and you want what's best for America, then you could be a violent extremist. If you think you're a patriot political prisoner, I'm going to stop on that one. I'm not going to give you a definition. If you live in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, or Connecticut, New York, California, I guarantee you there are days you feel like a political prisoner. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I rag on Connecticut enough. All right? Prepping. If you're into prepping, if you're a prepper, you're an MVE. I mean, I preach people should learn how to hunt. They should learn how to garden. They should have emergency stores because you never know. Rainy days, Noah's flood, something. Blizzards. You lose your job and you need to eat. You can't afford groceries. You've got emergency stores. Again, Cootie catastrophe of 2020, when there was a run on toilet paper. Who'd have thought the one thing, toilet paper? What the hell? But luckily, I had a stockpile. All right? It's not the best. And it's not the big Charmin, things like that. Literally, if you go to BJ's, Costco, Sam's Club, whatever, where the toilet paper is, if you go further back, you will find those big, massive rolls that the restaurants have, or like the truck stop, things like that. You can buy those and store them for an emergency, which is literally what I've done forever. Maybe it's because I was in the Navy, and being on deployment, when you run out of TP, Thunder Roll, whatever you want to call it, it's horrible. I don't know. All right. Quick Reaction Forces, QRFs. This term, sometimes adopted in order to describe the capability or willingness to respond to encounters or incidents between fellow MVEs and perceived adversaries, such as law enforcement, often with the expectation they will engage in violence to protect each other. Honestly, I don't know anything about any civilians out there talking about QRFs. In the military, we had QRFs. And basically it was, you know, things are falling apart, it's not going your way, you need help, you have a quick reaction force. Swoop in and help you. You know, so I guess if you're ready and willing to go help people that need help, because QRF and all, you know, like when half of a FFL falls into a river, and guns and cars are getting washed away, and you brave through the storm to go help a friend. Technically, I guess you're the QRF because somebody needed help and you went and helped. I guess you're a violent extremist. If you don't support red flag laws, right? Red flag laws are extreme risk protection orders, allow courts, blah, blah, blah. We know what they are. I've covered them a lot. Connecticut is a red flag state, and literally Blumenthal and Chris Murphy want to take literally our red flag nationwide. I've already bashed on that enough, and I like when I teach class because when I cover Connecticut laws, I cover the red flag law and how it morphed into it's got to be 2 officers, or a state's attorney will go to the courts and have to give compelling evidence in order for the judge to agree to seize all firearms and ammunition from an individual. And then we changed the law 3 years ago to where now it's like family member, healthcare workers, clergy, concerned citizen. Once people figure out that they can abuse that system, because you know damn well if they fill out that affidavit saying, well, so-and-so is a threat to themselves or to the public, nobody cares. No due process. You don't get to face your accuser. And even if it comes out years later that that person was lying, there are no ramifications. All right? Literally, someone in California red flagged someone in another state. Turns out to be false. But in the process, old boy in the other state lost everything. What did California do to the person that red flagged him? Nothing. If you're worried about SHTF, or shit hitting the fan, this acronym and others often used referring to major military, economic, political, or social crisis in organizations anticipate and prepare for justification of their existence. Major military, okay? I doubt it. Posse Comitatus, I doubt that our government would try to utilize the military against us. I would hope the military would tell them no. Economic, political, or social crisis. Economic. Listen, we have a petrodollar, and if other nations refuse to use the petrodollar and switch over to yen or rupees or whatever it is, and they're no longer using the US dollar to buy and trade oil, our economy will collapse. Remember the housing bubble explosion? That blew up. Banks are closing left and right. Listen, the economy is artificially inflated. Just look at the stock market. Look at the economic policies of our current politicians. Inflation is through the roof. And when they're like, well, inflation is down, it's only 3%. No. It's not a total of 3%. It's, say we measure it month by month. Last month it was 6%. Well, this month It's only 3%. It went down. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Last of Us 1-6, we're a positive 3%, so now you're up to 9. So when you look back to 2020, you look at where inflation was. It was like 1-2% max to where we are today. It's like it gets kind of flat under Trump and it skyrockets. We're way up here. They're going to lie to you, but I'm telling you, you go to the grocery store and listen, you get like just a few items in that cart, like I did yesterday, literally just a handful of items, just enough for me and Mrs. Guru to carry out by ourselves, $215. We like got nothing. It's insane. 3%ers, or the 3%er, the symbol of 3%, the Roman numeral 3, so on and so forth. And we all know this refers to that during the American Revolution, only 3% of the people fought the British. A little more than that. You gotta understand, back then, you had a small percentage that were Tories, a small percentage that wanted their independence and went and fought, but the vast majority of the colonies, the citizens in the colonies, didn't give a rat's ass. They were just like, leave me alone. Let me do my thing. You do your thing. We all have kumbaya. Well, it didn't work out. So, American Revolution. They go on to explain all that stuff. I mean, if you look at today's statistics, less than 1% of the entire population of the United States has served in the military. You, if you are a veteran or active duty, you are the true minority in this country. And lastly, unorganized militias. Now, what do they call a militia? Right, the reserve militia, blah, blah, blah. Well, under the Militia Act of 1903, let's see. They don't really break it down. Naval militia, National Guard, blah, blah, blah. But you want to know how they look at it? A militia is 2 or more people getting together to train together. Then you're the militia. That's insane. All right. I will have the link to that Twitter feed that breaks it all down, because as far as I know, as of the making of this video, on the 30th, FBI has not come out with any of that yet. Just so you know. And with that being said, happy birthday, my dad. I know you're watching this, so I am filming this on your birthday. All right, that pretty much covers violent extremism via the FBI, and pretty much the FBI is going to look at you like you are the violent extremist. All right, next segment, guys. Let's talk about what happened in Danbury. I'm sorry if you hear some rumbling in the background, some weird. Next room over, the dryer is currently going. All right. So in case you didn't know, this article is from the 28th of August, and I have not really seen it anywhere. I did see it yesterday. Somebody had mentioned it, and a lot of people were shocked. But in case you did not hear, ABC News. I'm just reading you guys the article. Couple in Lamborghini kidnapped and beaten while house hunting, police say. 6 men from Florida were arrested after their getaway van crashed. A couple in their 50s were kidnapped and assaulted this weekend, last weekend, while house hunting in Connecticut, police said. The incident occurred on Sunday afternoon in the city of Danbury, when a group of 6 men intentionally rear-ended the couple's Lamborghini sports car before forcing them into the back of a van. The men, all of whom live in Florida, beat the couple with a baseball bat, duct taped their hands and feet, and covered the male victim's eyes. When members of the group then drove off in the Lamborghini while the others sought to escape with the victims in the van. It seems like they were struck with a bat, according to Sergeant Stephen, I'm not even going to say your last name, Castro Vinci. I slaughtered that, I'm sure. Said of the kidnapped couple, as quoted by ABC News, New York City station WABC. The male victim was pretty bruised, pretty swollen, and they indicated they were struck with a bat several times. All right. This whole article, I'll put the link down below. It's just a pinned comment right there. Twitter feed, ABC News, and then we'll do WFSB. All right, so you can read it yourself. Don't take my word for it. A witness alerted law enforcement and followed the van until they lost control and crashed. Police were able to apprehend the 4 men in the van and free the kidnapped couple. The other 2 men were arrested later. Police told WABC that the 2 victims were taken to the hospital and are recovering from their injuries, which are non-life-threatening. Thank God, because honestly, if they're willing to do that to the people, I guarantee it could have been really, really. Need I remind you of Cheshire? And we vowed it would never happen again. Remember when Connecticut got rid of the death penalty? And they said, no, those 2 chuckleheads on death row for the Cheshire Home invasion, they will still be put to death. And everybody said, good, okay, because they need to be. And then, a year later, the death penalty went away for them too. And now they just get to spend the rest of their lives in jail. All right, but I'm sure some time in the far future, they'll probably like, let's have mercy and give them parole. No. All 6 suspects now facing charges including first-degree assault, first-degree kidnapping, and reckless endangerment. The motive remains unclear. Well, they're driving a Lamborghini. They probably think they have money. There is no clear connection between the suspect and the victims. WABC named the arrested man as, I'm not going to give you their names. One was 23, one was 22, another one was 23, 26, 21, and 18. From Florida. Up here in Connecticut, doing nothing but bad things. So, I don't know if you guys heard about that or not, but I'm going to tell you this. I don't care what kind of car you drive. All right? If another vehicle taps your rear end while you're driving, and I don't mean like slams in you because they're not paying attention. I mean like you're at a stoplight and they just kind of roll up and pop. Regardless. If you feel safe, deal with it. But if it's kind of hinky, you know what? Maybe you want to drive to a well-lit area or a more public area. Maybe you don't want to get out of your vehicle. Just call the police, especially if you don't feel comfortable, and have them kind of sort it all out. Because you've seen it on the news before. They get tapped, or you get tapped, someone gets tapped. So you pull off to the side, you get out to deal with it, right? Because there was a car accident, and then they get in your car and take off. You know, it's a tap. Not a lot of damage. Now, if they slam into your vehicle because they're not paying attention and there's tons of damage, well, they're not taking your vehicle anywhere. But if they tap you and it's still drivable, it possibly could be a carjacking. So be aware of that, because if you have kids in the car, you get out of the car, they jump in the car and take off. They just got your kids. So stay in your vehicle. Always carry a gun with you, because you never know. So there you go. That's my advice. I'm glad they were rescued. I'm glad they're recovering and it didn't escalate and get worse. But it really drives me nuts when the politicians come out, especially during election years, and tell you how crime is down, how we're all safe. Literally in Meriden Talks, just the other day, they put out a list, color-coded for crime. And it's like dark green, almost no crime. Light green, a little. Orange, kind of iffy. Dark red, you're hosed. Tons of crime. So when you look at the map, you can see different neighborhoods broken up. The whole center of Meriden, dark red. Just deep, dark, right around the green, right around all the towers, you know, all that Section 8 housing, the Carabetta towers. But they're like, oh, no, Merredin's really safe. There were 2 neighborhoods that were dark green, a few more that were light green, and the rest are like all orange and red, right? That's why we call it the dirty den. Merredin it's a shithole. Admit it. New Haven, Hartford, Bridgeport, Merredin, we're all shitholes. I know what you're going to say. Why are you still living there? You got me. I don't know. My kids were in the school system. Good school system. I don't know. I'd like to move to, Tennessee. But we got things going on. We got to make sure everything is squared away. All the little I's are dotted, T's are crossed type thing. And never know what the future holds. All right. Mrs. Guru wants out of here. She hates Connecticut. And I don't blame her. She doesn't like the politicians or the politics of the state. She doesn't like getting raped in taxes. She doesn't like the fact that she can't have the guns that she wants. She doesn't like the fact that she can't have an auto knife. All these things, like, really, really irritate her. So, okay. Next one. WFSB. All right, I saw this morning. This is from, this morning. 2 arrested in connection with a Facebook Marketplace armed robbery. This is out of Shelton. All right? When I read my wife this article this morning over breakfast, I was like, oh, Shelton. She goes, where the hell's Shelton? And I went to explain where it was, and I was like, it's in Connecticut. I don't know. It's 45 minutes from us. Everything's 45 minutes from us. All right, it says 2 people are facing charges in an armed robbery in Shelton. On Thursday night, Shelton police received a 911 call from a resident on Perry Hill Road. Female victim stated that she was robbed while purchasing sneakers on Facebook Marketplace. When the perpetrators arrived at the victim's home, a disagreement started over the cost of the sneakers. The victim told the police that while she attempted to get her money back, a handgun was pointed at her. The vehicle drove off afterwards. Police officers spotted it again later that evening. They conducted a motor vehicle stop, and a stolen loaded firearm was located inside the vehicle. Wonder where it was stolen from. The male suspect, not given his name, because I don't even want to try to pronounce it, Agent 19 from Bridgeport. Illegal for him to have a gun. Stolen gun at that. Okay? Enforce these laws, people. Enforce them. Stop making up new laws. The criminal is the problem. Not the gun. Not the laws that we already have. Stop making up stuff. He was arrested and charged with robbery in the first degree, conspiracy to commit robbery in the first degree, theft of a firearm, and carrying a pistol without a permit. I'm sure they could have found more charges. That's all. He is being held on a $100,000 bond and is scheduled to appear in Derby Superior Court today, 8:30. The female passenger, not given her name, age 18 of Bridgeport, was charged with robbery in the first degree, conspiracy to commit robbery in the first degree, and posted a $50,000 bond and is scheduled to appear in Derby Superior Court on September 16th of this year. And that's it. That's all the article says. I'm not going to read comments, but here's my take on this. Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, any of those, they're nice. They're great. I mean, on Facebook, we have the Merredin tag sale, and every town's got like a tag sale site. Those are great. You got a bunch of unwanted stuff. You want to sell it off. Good. Marketplace is perfect for that. I'm not saying I've never used it. Use it all the time to get rid of things, right? Because one person's trash is another person's treasure. Okay? And instead of running tag sales constantly, just throw it up on Marketplace. Hey, someone's in the market. They're looking for it. Great. Works wonderfully. However, I am not giving you my home address for you to come here. We're going to meet neutral ground. Usually, it's going to be in front of some sort of PD. Literally, Meriden PD, the main office downtown, street parking, and you go inside the first set of doors, right there where you have the officer of the watch, and that is an area that is designated for trade-offs, money for item. That is the smartest thing to do. If that is not an option, then again, meet somewhere neutral, somewhere public, not private, not utilizing your home address. Go armed. Not because you're up to no good, it's to protect yourself. Because, sometimes things don't work out, right? Of course, de-escalation, etc., blah, blah, blah. Be mindful. There is no one there to help you in the beginning. You are going to be your own first responder. So, carry a firearm, get training, be proficient. All right? Be smart. That's all I have for you this video. Please head up the merch store. Remember, 10% off with code Labor Day 24. You can get yourself the welding shirt, of course, the guns and ammo shirt, because America runs on guns and ammo. You can express your love for SLFU and all the great things they do to us, the gun owner, here in Connecticut. And there's a slew of other shirts available. Stickers, mugs, etc. All right? There is locals. You have Patreon. Become an insider. You can become a member right here on YouTube. Just click on that, become a member tab. Literally, it's a cup of coffee, right? That's what it costs. A cup of coffee from Dunkies. One for the month. All right? Lots of behind-the-scenes things going on there. All right? At the very least, best way to support the channel is hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. If you are, double check it, because YouTube is notorious for unsubscribing you to things. Toggle the notification bell so when a new video comes up or I do a live, you get notified. Like, share with your friends, always leave a comment, and I will see all of you in the next video.